next moments, listen to Mike Shildt's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into the Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Sam Levitt with you on the field here at Petco Park. Padres beat the Nationals 1-0 to win this three-game series. Right now I'm joined by Padres catcher Elias Diaz and interpreter Jorge Merlos. Elias, Nick Pivetta, 7 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts. He was terrific today. What was the biggest key for Pivetta the way he pitched today?
¿Qué era la gran clave con Pivetta hoy? ¿Cómo pichó hoy?
Estaba excelente, atacamos, estaba encima de los bateadores y pudimos ejecutar los picheos y por eso tuvo éxito hoy.
I mean, he was able to execute the pitches that he needed to. We were getting ahead of guys and counts, and he just had a really good stuff out there today.
Elias, the bullpen continues to be terrific. 6 brilliant innings yesterday, 2 great innings today. What continues to be so significant about the way this bullpen performs?
Y hablamos de cómo ha estado el bullpen estos últimos días, ya que han pichado tanto y, bueno, han sacado buenos resultados.
Tenemos tremendo bullpen, como ya lo saben, mucho talento. De verdad que ellos quieren ganar. Ellos están loqueados para venir a hacer su trabajo, ejecutar sus picheos, y es lo que nos ha dado éxito.
I mean, they're always locked in. They always come in ready to win, and they're always able to execute their pitches at any time. And then we know that we have the best bullpen, and they know it too.
This has been a tough stretch. 26 games in 27 days. You wrap up the stretch by winning 2 series in a row. What kind of momentum can that possibly give this team?
¿Qué le puede dar al equipo ya que han ganado las 2 series estas y para llegar a estas próximas series que vienen?
Es un equipo que aprendemos, que sabemos cómo pasar la página y ir al siguiente día a competir, a tratar de ganar, porque todos queremos ganar, todos queremos llegar a playoffs, todos queremos ganar la Serie Mundial. Esa es la mentalidad que tenemos todos.
But this is a team that knows how to turn the page every time that we go out there, and after a win or loss, whatever it is, we know how to turn the page. And this is a team that wants to win, whether it's getting into the playoffs and getting into the World Series. That's what we want to win.
Elias, great job today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Elias Diaz. Great job in today's 1-0 win for the Padres against the Washington Nationals. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here. Upgrade your outdoor living
Adams tag. RBI single Luis Arraez, though, will give the Padres a 1-0 lead.
From that point on, the story was Nick Pivetta. He worked around a leadoff single in the third, a 1-2-3 fourth inning, a scoreless fifth inning. Gore was doing the same. He kept it a 1-0 game through the fifth inning. In the top of the sixth, Pivetta allowed a one-out bunt single to the number 9 batter, Jacob Young, but he bounced back to strike out C.J. Abrams for out number 2. The inning was left up to the Nationals' James Wood.
2-2, and Wood swings and misses. Strike 3, got him to chase 95 up, and James Wood strikes out for the third time today. 9 strikeouts in 6 shutout innings for Nick Pivetta.
Pivetta went back out for the 7th and tossed a 1-2-3 frame. He was spectacular today. 7 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts, 3 hits, and no walks. Padres weren't doing anything to add on for the bullpen after that. We still had a 1-0 game. Going to the 8th inning, Jeremiah Estrada came in. He pitched the scoreless top of the 8th inning. Padres didn't score in their half of the 8th inning. So, quite simply, we went to the 9th inning. Padres leading 1-0. The only run of the day was that Luis Arraez RBI hit in the bottom half of the second, with Robert Suarez beginning his 2-game suspension today. Adrian Morejon came in for the save opportunity in the 9th inning after pitching 2 scoreless innings in relief yesterday, and Morejon got it done.
0-1, the pitch. Wood swings, pops it up, shallow left center field. Jackson Merrill into the gap, coming in. He's there to make the catch. And the Padres win this series from the Nationals and finish this homestand 4-2.
A really, really nice win for the Padres here today. Final totals here today for the Padres: 1 run, 6 hits, no errors. And for the Nationals, no runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. Winning pitcher today, a well-deserved W for Nick Pivetta, who was outstanding. He improves to 8-2. It was Mackenzie Gore, the former Padre, who took the loss. He's 3-8. And Adrian Morejon picks up his 2nd save of the season. A very, very nice win. A 2nd consecutive 1-run win against the Nationals as the Padres take 2 out of 3. And now finally an off day tomorrow, a 6-game road trip to Cincinnati and Philadelphia beginning on Friday. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We have plenty more post-game analysis coming your way as well. We'll get to your phone calls a little bit later. Again, the final here today on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon in downtown San Diego. The Padres 1 and the Nationals 0. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Padres win it 1-0 against the Washington Nationals as they win 2 out of 3 in this 3-game series. We'll go downstairs, hear from Mike Shildt in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. We have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our relief pitcher of the game, catch of the game, play of the game, all that good stuff still to come, and we'll take your phone calls later at 833-288-0973. Again, the phone number, if you want to get in line, it's going to be a little bit till we get to phone calls, but the number is always 833-288-0973. Well, before we get to Mike Shildt, a couple of thoughts for you about this win. Tonight, or I should say today and last night, to me, are just classic examples of finding a way. It wasn't pretty, per se, for the Padres the last couple of days. You think about how they won 2 consecutive one-run games against the Nationals the last 2 days. Yesterday, they scratch across a run in the 6th inning after originally trailing 3-0. They get 3 runs to tie it. They scratch across a run in the 4th inning to win it. Bullpen is terrific. 6 scoreless innings. They hang on for a 4-3 win. They find a way. Here today, they had an RBI single from Luis Arraez in the bottom half of the 2nd. And the rest of this game was about Nick Pivetta and then the 2 guys out of the bullpen today on a day where the Padres were without Robert Suarez, who began his 2-game suspension today. They went to Estrada in the 8th inning. He was great. Morejon for a save opportunity in the 9th inning. He was great. And the score stands up 1-0. Again, was it pretty? Would you have loved more offense? Absolutely. But they found a way against a team that you really, if you're the Padres, should take this series against, and a struggling Nationals team. We talked about it all week. The Nationals had an 11-game losing skid not all that long ago. They've had a really, really rough month of June. Bottom line, this was not a team you wanted to lose a series to. So it felt like today's rubber game of this series was significant, and the Padres find a way. And they finally reach the end of this really, really difficult stretch of the schedule where A, they played a lot of good teams, and B, they played 26 games in 27 days. And was it a perfect stretch? No. Did it have its down moments? Yes. But the way they finished it up, I think you have to be really, really happy about. The Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Royals. They follow it up with a series win, 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. And that's after, remember, they lost the opening game in both of those series. So for the Padres to bounce back in both series, then win the next 2, really significant. And the Padres end this 26-game and 27-day stretch with a record of 44-36. They're right in the mix of the postseason race. And now finally, they get an off day tomorrow in Cincinnati. Now, we'll get into it a little bit later. Schedule doesn't get a whole lot easier, but at least now the schedule, as far as just purely games in days and lack of off days, it does get lighter and it does get a little bit easier. And I think the Padres did a pretty nice job overall. We'll get into it more, kind of look at this stretch overall a little bit later. But again, here today, it was just a find a way type of win. Luis Arraez, a base hit. The offense didn't do anything else against Mackenzie Gore, who was really good in this game. Bullpen for the Nats was also good in this game. But Nick Pivetta, you can't say enough about what Nick Pivetta did in this ball game. I mean, maybe the best start he's had all year. I'd have to really, go back and look at all the lines and think about it. But he was, to me, watching him from upstairs, he was, to me, as dominant as he's been this year for this team. I mean, nobody could touch him on the Nationals today. 10 strikeouts, no walks, 7 scoreless innings, only 3 singles given up. He was outstanding today, and basically, Padres got an early run, and Nick Pivetta made it stand up. I mean, all the credit to Nick Pivetta today. He was outstanding in a one-run game, and then the bullpen on a day where they're shorthanded, on a day where Morejon, Estrada, and Adam all had to get more than 3 outs yesterday, found a way today. So, again, yesterday felt like just a find-a-way type of win, and here today, again, felt like a find-a-way type of win, and the Padres win this series with a 1-0 win in the rubber game of this 3-game set here today. Let's go downstairs here at Petco Park and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Mike, can you just talk about how it worked out for your pitching staff today, given the situation you were in, what Nick was able to do, and then what your plan was there that worked the last 2
Yeah,
days?
I mean, it almost went to script, right? I mean, went for it yesterday. Guys brought it home. Two of the guys that had a couple of days off yesterday were in the fight yesterday and were super efficient and allowed them to be able to go today, even though they went multiples. And but his story starts with the starter today with Nicky. I thought he's fantastic. Everything was on display. It was, pretty much self-explanatory. He was dominating the counts. Fastball was going where he wanted to. Had a lot of life to it. Sweeper was good. Him and Diaz on the same page. He was lights out and, clean 7, and we had no margin for error. So good for him. And then went right to where it was going to be interchangeable with Estrada and Morejon, depending on where it landed. And righty showed up and Jeremiah took it down, and I got help with a really nice play by Wadey. That was a nice play in the hole. And then, we really liked what Diaz did to lead off with Young. That was a heck of a play. But even before that play, he's got his radar up like, hey, both corners watch the bunt. I mean, we played these guys 3 games, and our corner guys were aware he's going to do it. But his own mindset, and then boom, he jumps out of there, and he's in a position to go make a really an elite play to lead off the inning of the 9th. And Morejon was able to get 2 tough hitters to bring it home.
And then clearly you had your lineup set up so Arise would be up in the RBI situation. Could you just talk about how your thought process on that, since we didn't get to talk to you before the game, and then how it did work out?
It worked out. Like I said last night, Louis can hit regardless of circumstance, left, right. You got it. Like him leading off, like him hitting 4. He's hit 2 good portion of the season. As we look at the lineup and start to explore, pretty much right now at the exact halfway point of the season, it just made some sense that, okay, let's get him back to a spot he's been productive in, which is every spot. And then look at Manny, who's taking great at bats, righty, lefty. Let's look at Jackson, and he can pretty much hit anywhere. He's, in a good spot. And it feels like I've talked about with Toddy, he's a little bit of the linchpin to all this. He's a guy that can legitimately hit anywhere in the lineup. And so when you start looking at it, you go, man, it's a good feeling for him to turn it back over, and there's Toddy. But it's also a good feeling to turn it back over, and there's Louis. It's also a good feeling to have him, Toddy have some traffic in front of him, be able to see some pitches and go down that road. So like the look of it, it's always going to be a little bit fluid.
Why today for that? You said the halfway point, just kind of shaking things up today, facing a lefty. Like, what was the decision behind going for it?
Like I said, before Jackson went on had a situation with the concussion, I was getting my head around, him hitting second. And then, when that kind of broke, started looking at it, and why today? It just made sense. We talked about it, thought about it internally. It's a conversation we do have with the guys that are involved with it. There's a comfort level with those guys, and everybody was really, really comfortable with it, had their head around it. So we rolled it out.
You're not a guy, you've said that you're not a guy that generally shakes up the lineup often, but now you have kind of 3 different options for those top 4 guys that have all worked. Like, what does that do for you? Could that do for you?
Listen, here's the deal with it. When you have good players, it creates a lot of options, and there's rhyme or reason to all of it. But we have a deeper club. It was on display tonight. We were sure it'll come up. Some questions about Bogey, Crony's getting a day off, so we were able to go win a game without 2 of our guys that contribute for us on both sides of the ball. And but those first 4 guys are somewhat interchangeable, and just trying to find the right mix.
You basically did my job for me, but how is Bogey?
We feel like he's going to be okay. It was aggravated last night. Again, I wanted to be intentional about the day off tomorrow, which I'll get to in a minute. And so we just said, let's just not do any activity today. Let's let him just rest today, take advantage of tomorrow, evaluate on Friday. But the play at the plate yesterday did, bang him up a little bit. And so it was just, there was going to be a day, ideally it was today, so got it, going to give them 2 full days and evaluate on Friday. So it's also a great opportunity for me to say a couple things, about the club at the halfway point. First of all, great homestand, 2 series in a row, which we talked about getting back to doing that and have done it, and look forward to continue to do it. It's not really a State of the Union for the entire first half. It's more of like a real appreciation and love for this team for the last, 27 days, rightfully have been asked, the radar's been up, hey, you got a stretch coming up, not only of a lot of games, a lot of interdivision games. And I could not be more proud of this team, the way they've handled this stretch. My admiration and appreciation and love for this team is even higher than it was, which is saying something, because I got so much respect and admiration for this club. But, you talk about being battle tested, the season will do that, again, rightfully because of the questions I've received, before it, middle of it, towards the end of it, how you handling it. And then we had a lot to take place in those 26 games. Really hard fought contest, have guys going out, Jackson going out, really starters, young starters proving themselves in tough environments. Last night on display right towards the end of it, the unfortunate incident with Berger come out of the game, guys stepping up right at the end of that. We got a situation today where, we don't have a guy at the end of the game that, it's serving his suspension, and 2 guys step up, and, it's what great teams have. They have guys that just get it done, and one of the internal mantras we have is about just winners finding solutions, and that's what this group is. A bunch of good guys that love playing together, play for each other, play together, and just a bunch of good teammates that ball out regardless of the situation. And, it's also a time, and when we look, the staff does their job, but and publicly, we don't expect a lot of fanfare, including myself, but it's a tip of the hat to the staff as well. Preparation on point, regardless. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it. That is our jobs, but it's they're still humans, and they turn that over really quickly in the travel and the medical staff and the strength conditioning staff, and it's just a really, really elite staff that we have here that serves our players, and it's an honor to partner with them to do this, but they deserve a tip of the hat too. It's a really nice organizational effort over the last tough stretch, and setting us up for, a really positive, moving forward, but we just got to continue to grow on it.
Is the scheduled day off for Carmen, or was it
scheduled day off? It was scheduled day off. We had gone back and forth, at least I had, and then made a decision, and, today was his day, and, usually Jake's like, I got to keep my left up a little bit with Jake and Manny and Toddy and everybody, Bogey and Louie, all the regulars. But he was like, yeah, it's probably about time, so it was good for him to not have to come off the bench and do anything, get 2 full days.
Is Berger, is that just still a bruise? And as far as
yeah, it's still a bruise. We'll really, feel good about, not what happened, but the severity of it. Clearly we had to make a move. Works in concert with the bullpen situation, but he's going to go with us, play catch, and then we expect him to get back to being able to, throw in some form or fashion off a mound soon, and then get back to a progression that keeps him built up. And at the moment, don't anticipate this being a longer, more than the 15 days. But as we all know, it's you never know. I haven't yet. No, I saw a couple guys in the clubhouse, and but no, I haven't had a report yet. But we'll get it to you soon.
Jose Iglesias is releasing a song, I believe.
Oh, okay, great. I did some background work on it, so I'm not a guy that likes any credit, but I think it's really good. I'm grateful for the opportunity to play the tambourine in the back of it. The dancing's probably not as good as he would have liked. I think it's probably going to get edited out. No, but all seriousness, I mean, this guy's a super talented guy. We've enjoyed having him on the club, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll download it, and it'll be a fun thing. I think we're pretty hyped on as it is. This is a group that, I always appreciate when we have things that, like we can rally around, our fans get supportive of, and, a song can help. But, the fact of the matter is this is a team that doesn't need anything. This team's already hyped. So, yes, sir. Thank you.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 1-0 win for the Padres against the Washington Nationals. All right, we have a lot to chew on there from Mike Shildt. We'll get to that when we return. I'll give you the latest on Darvish, what he did in his simulated game today, and we'll continue to break down this 1-0 win, this series win for the Padres against the Nationals. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Padres win it 1-0 on this Wednesday at Petco Park as the Padres take 2 out of 3 to wrap up this 6-game homestand. Couple of series wins for the Padres on this homestand. 2 out of 3 against Kansas City and 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals. Both series on this homestand, Padres lost the opening game, but to their credit, found a way to battle back and win the final 2 games of each series. And again, we've talked about it throughout the post-game coverage here. This wraps up a 26-game in 27-day span, a very, very, very difficult stretch of the schedule. And you look at it, the Padres go 13-13 in the 26 games. This is going back to May 30th, so nearly a month ago. 26 games in 27 days, one off day in between 13 consecutive games on either side. They go 13-13. If you are somebody that was hoping that the Padres could at the very least just tread water during this span, then that's exactly what they did. They tread water.
They went 13-13. There were a lot of really good teams in this stretch. 4 games against the Giants, 3 games against the Brewers, 7 games against the Dodgers, 3 games against Arizona. Kansas City, I think, is a better team than what their record was coming in. 3 games against them. They did have 3 against Pittsburgh, 3 against Washington. But those were the only 2 teams that I think you would classify as, not to be mean, quote-unquote, bad teams right now based on the record. But aside from that, the other games in this span, the other 20, they were tough against pretty darn good teams. So to go 13-13, would you have loved to be better than that? Absolutely, of course. I think the guys in that clubhouse would agree with that. But the Padres did tread water, and after a hot start, they now, at almost the midway point of the season, this was game number 80 today. They are 44-36 when they play in Cincinnati on Friday. Complete that game officially. It'll be halfway through the season, 81 at a 162. But 80 games in, they're 8 games above 500. They're right in the mix as far as a postseason spot. This is a very good National League. We'll get more into the upcoming schedule a little bit later. Doesn't get a whole lot easier for this team moving forward. But again, I think you have to be, from an objective standpoint, pretty happy with how this stretch went. 26 games in 27 days. They went 13-13. They tread water. And they're in a good spot. And they're set up for a fun, competitive, interesting second half of the season where they're going to have an opportunity to battle for a playoff spot. And you would assume that this group won't be exactly the same come early August as it is right now. We're a little bit over a month from the trade deadline. You would assume that the Padres are going to get some help here one way or another, if we know anything about A.J. Preller this time of year. So they did a good job treading water during this span, and now an opportunity to go on the road and get some more rest in the days to come. An off day Thursday, an off day, or I should say an off day tomorrow, an off day next Thursday. So the schedule finally lightens up a little bit, and the Padres did some nice things during this 26-game span where they go 500, and they'll finish up 80 games this season at 44-36. Well, Nick Pivetta was the story of this game. He was absolutely tremendous. His final line, 7 scoreless innings, 3 hits. He struck out 10, walked nobody on 90 pitches, 62 for strikes. For Nick Pivetta, it was the first time in his career that he struck out 10 or more while allowing 3 or fewer hits, no runs, and no walks. He was outstanding today. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. I think it may have been his most dominant start of the year. I mean, the Nationals couldn't touch him. He gave up 3 singles. One of them a bunt single that if Pivetta picks it up cleanly, he makes the play on. That's only 2 hits on the day. He was great. I mean, he was really, really, really dominant. You felt like he was in full command. He was outstanding here today. And essentially, the Padres gave him a 1-0 lead in the second inning, and Pivetta made it stand up. Bottom line, made it stand up today. And then the bullpen on a day where they were going to be without Robert Suarez, a man short in the bullpen. They had to use guys differently and have lengthy outings for Morejon and Adam and Estrada yesterday, all getting more than 3 outs. The bullpen between Estrada and Morejon did a great job today. But again, Nick Pivetta stole the show. He's the MVP of the game. 7 scoreless innings, struck out 10, and allowed just 3 hits. And again, walked nobody against the Nationals today. Let's go inside the clubhouse here at Petco Park. Here's some post-game reaction from Nick Pivetta.
7 innings, 10 strikeouts. How do you feel?
It was good. Pretty happy about it. I would like to continue the consistency and have it leak into my next starts. I think it's more about, what the team's done this series, how they've held their head strong and, just kind of keep going. And, we show up today and won a good series.
Arguably having your best season so far. What is it about working with Ruben? It's really kind of given you that extra edge and pushed you over.
Yeah, I think it's an overall thing. I think signing somewhere long-term has helped me out a lot, but I think, the openness Ruben has, the way he communicates, it's helped me a lot, and it's kind of led to a lot of success.
Was there any other added juice facing off against your former team?
Not my former team, former organization. I never made it to the big leagues with them, but, I think we're kind of far beyond that now. I think it's just more of a series for me, just trying to go out and win that series. I think it's the most important thing.
You always want to go as deep as you can, but knowing what the bullpen did yesterday after Ryan left that game, to give him 7, and you could have gone 8 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really pivotal in those moments to try to pick up the bullpen as much as they can, because they picked us up a lot this year. Everybody knows here how dynamite they've been, how consistent they've been, but just being able to help the team out the best I can possibly every single time is just what I'm trying to do.
Was there a conversation about the 8th inning?
Oh, no. I just I get taken out of the game, and that's Shilt's decision. And, he's a great manager. He has a good feel for the game. So, that's just what we have. Like I said, really good bullpen, really good guys down there that'll lock guys up. And, it showed there today.
What did you think of Adrian taking on the 9th after 2 innings yesterday?
Yeah, I think it's really, really good to see. He's had a really great season. I'm still getting to know him, of course, being here. But, just to see what he's got, his willingness to adapt and change. He really challenges guys, and he has a really good, strong mental approach. So it's awesome to see him there. And we look forward to having Suarez back as well.
Fourth, 7th inning shutout of the season. Is there a common thread or something that's typically going well, or you're doing well when you have performances like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, it's just overall command of all my pitches. The willingness to work down the zone and up in the zone, and then I'm commanding my breaking balls really well in the later half. So I think just like that adaptation of being able to execute my pitches is really important.
And this is the end of the 26 and 27 day stretch. You finished 13 and 13. How do you feel like the team has navigated it?
I think we did really well. I mean, especially with the injuries that we had and just things that have happened in those series, the teams that we faced. I think there's a lot more in the tank. I think, we're capable of doing great things. And I think just coming up 50-50 is good, but I think there's more in us.
You bookended it with a quality start against Pittsburgh, and now today. Feel good to contribute during the stretch the way that you have?
Yeah, I didn't contribute too well, I feel like, in the previous starts, but it was nice to come on top today. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Nick Pivetta after today's win, a 1-0 win for the Padres against the Washington Nationals. 7 scoreless innings today for Nick Pivetta. He struck out 10, 90 pitches, just 3 hits given up. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game. Tell you about how the bullpen did.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, presented by David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. When your freedom and future are on the line, you need the best arm in the pen. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com.
Our relief pitcher of the game, you know who we'll give it to today? To me, it is, I don't want to say obvious, but to me, it's Adrian Morejon. Comes in a situation without Robert Suarez, 1-run game. Throws a 1-2-3 9th inning to pick up his 2nd save of the season. But I think what you have to consider is that he went 2 innings yesterday in a spot where he didn't know he was coming in the 4th inning of all things after Ryan Berger takes the line drive off his right forearm, has to come out. Morejon has to come in. We talked to him about it before the game in an unfamiliar spot for a few different reasons. I mean, he's got to get all warmed up out of nowhere. He's got to throw 2 innings, and he was great yesterday. 2 innings, 1 hit, and he struck out 1 through 16 pitches. And then today gets out there, 1-run game. He has to face 9, 1, and 2 in the lineup, including Abrams, including Wood. And guess what? A 1-2-3 inning, no problem. 2nd save of the season. So you cannot say enough about what Adrian Morejon has done as of late. I'm going to get into it in our next segment a little bit more because I think it deserves a moment to discuss further how good, how electric Adrian Morejon has been. But he is today's relief pitcher of the game. Let's hear our catch of the game.
Which defensive play had the biggest impact on today's game?
He is at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch.
This is the catch of the game.
Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill.
Reeled in by Anthony's Fish Grotto La Mesa, celebrating 80 years of seafood excellence.
2-1, hit hard on the ground right side. To his left, Wade has it, slides, pops up, throws to first in time. Nicely done. And 2 outs here in the 8th inning.
Really nice play by Tyler Wade in the 8th inning. Hey, a 1-run game. Every little detail matters, and Wade did a good job going to his left. Little slide for it. Good strong throw to first base. And that's today's catch of the game. Nice defense by T. Wade at 2nd base. When we come back, we'll look at the out-of-town scoreboard. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973. Again, phone number to call as always if you want to chime in about today's win, 833-288-0973. 0973. Final score here today, the Padres 1 and the Nationals nothing. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues after these words on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Padres beat the Washington Nationals 1-0 in the final game of this three-game series. Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Nats after taking 2 out of 3 from Kansas City. They go 4-2 on this 6-game homestand against the Padres, against the Royals and the Nationals. By the way, we told you earlier today that Darvish was taking another step forward in his rehab process. He was throwing a simulated game in Lake Elsinore, and the results, I have them for you in that sim game. 3 innings, 3 hits, no runs. He walked 1, struck out 6, and probably the most important number out of all those, 51 pitches. He faced 14 batters, again, at a sim game at the Diamond in Lake Elsinore at the Padres single A affiliate. So we told you before the game, I didn't want you to get confused, think that Darvish was actually pitching in the game for Lake Elsinore. That's not what was going on. It was only a sim game, just happened to be at Lake Elsinore because that's where the hitters are and easiest with the Padres playing during the day-to-day. But again, we'll see how Darvish recovers and get the latest update from Mike Shildt on Friday about what the next step for you might be. But everything we've heard so far is good. 51 pitches, 14 batters faced, and now we see what the next step is for Darvish as he hopefully makes his return as soon as possible. Very, very important to this Padres rotation. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on today around the majors.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a couple of finals aside from this one today. Angels beat the Red Sox 5-2 in Anaheim. Joe Adell, Travis d'Arnaud, back-to-back home runs in that game for the Angels. The Brewers beat the Pirates 4-2 in Milwaukee. That was a marquee pitching matchup between a couple of flame-throwing right-handers. Jacob Misiorowski on the mound for the Brewers, Paul Skeens on the mound for the Pirates. And guess who won that matchup today? It was Misiorowski, the young right-hander. 5 scoreless innings. He struck out 8. Paul Skeens, meanwhile, 4 innings, 4 earned runs given up on 4 hits. So that's a pitching matchup we could see in the NL Central for many years to come. And round 1 goes to Misiorowski as the Brewers win it 4-2. White Sox beat the Diamondbacks 7-3 in Arizona today. Lenin Sosa, a 2-run home run in that one for Chicago. Game's going on right now. Rangers ahead of the Orioles 3-0 in Baltimore in the 4th inning. A's lead the Tigers 3-0 in Detroit in the 3rd. Blue Jays and the Guardians tied at 1 in the 4th inning in Cleveland. Braves and the Mets are scoreless in New York in the 2nd. Yankees and the Reds are scoreless in the 1st inning in Cincinnati. Mariners and the Twins in Minnesota at 4:40. Rays and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Cubs and the Cardinals at 4:45 in St. Louis. Phillies and the Astros at 5:10 in Houston. Dodgers and the Rockies at 5:40 in Colorado. And finally, Marlins at the Giants in San Francisco at 6:45. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday. All right, before we get to our play of the game, wrap things up, get you to Chris Ello, Matt Scraby coming your way towards, towards, I don't know, in about 5 to 10 minutes or so. They'll come your way, take you up until 7 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan. I'm sure Chris and Scraby have many more thoughts about this game. Let's squeeze in a couple of calls. Let's begin here today. We go to Chula Vista. It's Eric calling in. Eric, you're on the Padres Radio Network with Sam Levitt. Welcome in.
Thanks again, Sam. What a relief, having Nick Pivetta on the mound. Exceptionally dominant, efficient, masterful pitching performance. Then we got to go all the way back to April when we played at Detroit, when he had an outing like this, and in Colorado here at home. He's undefeated at home, Sam. I think he's 6-0 now. And it's very pleasing to know that he takes the mound every 5 days. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, he has been absolutely terrific for the most part this season. I know he's had a couple of outings where it's been a little shakier, but you look at the overall body of work here in the first half, and I think you consider what you thought you were getting when he signed. I don't know how you could be anything but really happy with what Nick Pivetta has been. I mean, there have been starts like this where he's been dominant. 7 scoreless innings, 3 hits, struck out 10, walked nobody. I mean, this is a guy, remember, I think you have to put it in context. He's being asked right now to be like the Padres' number 2 or maybe even number 1, if you want to consider him that, based on Dylan Cease's season so far. I mean, this is a guy that you thought was kind of going to be their 4th starter, right? And it had a good career, but a bit of an inconsistent career to this point. He's got a 3.36 ERA after today. He's been really, really effective. And today he was dominant. I thought it might have been his most dominant start of the season. That's how good he was. The Nationals weren't touching him today. And when Pivetta's on like that, it's a lot of fun to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch on the mound. And he's had to step up in a big way because of the injuries. And I think for the most part, he's done a pretty nice job. And very, very good here today. You're right, efficient, 90 pitches through 7 innings today. Let's go to Rancho Bernardo. It's Don. Don, you're on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, Sammy. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Good. Well, I just wanted to highlight a play I don't think you chatted about yet tonight, and that was what I consider to be kind of the defensive play of the game. It didn't get a star hanging on it, but I think it should have. And that was the top of the 9th inning. Fields that bunt and launches his whole body, over during the throw. And the reason that was obviously so important is because if, the lead guy gets on, he's a fast guy. He could possibly steal a bag. And then you've got Abrams and Wood who don't need to hit homers. They just need to get a little blooper. So it kind of changed the whole complexion of that 1-0 game. And, I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, Don, good phone call and good point. That was a really nice play by Diaz. I'm going to be honest with you. Part of the reason I didn't bring it up initially was because I was on my way down to the field when he made that play. I did not see it until I got back up here to the booth. Somebody, a couple of people on my way up told me about it. And yeah, it was a tremendous, tremendous play by Diaz to begin that 9th inning. And you're exactly right. Hey, look, a 1-run game, every little detail matters. And you had Wade make a nice play in the hole in the 8th inning. You then had Diaz make that play. And you're right. Part of the order coming up with Abrams and Wood, those are guys who can give the Nationals the lead with one swing with a runner on base. So it was a really, really good play. Probably would have been catch of the game worthy. We ended up giving it to the Wade play, but hey, you're right, Don. Really, really nice play by Diaz, who had a good day. I mean, we talked to him after the game. If you heard the post-game interview, if not, you can catch it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, or it's already up on the 97.3 The Fan social media. We're very quick with the social media in 2025. Diaz had a great day. He had 2 hits. He made that play in the 9th inning, which is a big play to your point, and he also caught Pivetta in the bullpen today, and they were awesome. It was a combined 3-hit shutout for the Padres today. I mean, just a great job, and Diaz has a part of that behind the plate today. So great day for Elias Diaz, no doubt about that. Before we hear our play of the game, just one other thing to chew on here, because I mentioned I would talk a little bit more about Adrian Morejon. You've got to really tip your cap to how good Morejon has been. If you go back to May 21st, Adrian Morejon has not allowed an earned run in 17 consecutive appearances. That's a span of 16 innings. 17 consecutive appearances. Adrian has not been charged with an earned run. And again, I brought it up earlier. You look at what he did the last couple of days. I mean, he's a huge part of these 2 wins against the Nationals. To come in yesterday in a tough spot, out of nowhere, 4th inning, a spot he's not accustomed to after Bergert gets hit with the line drive. I mean, Morejon sitting out there in the bullpen, he doesn't think he's coming in. I mean, all of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm pitching. Comes in, gives Mike Shildt 2 innings, and then today comes back in for the 9th inning in a 1-2-3 inning, and he had to face the top of the lineup in Abrams and Wood. I cannot say enough about what Adrian Morejon has done as of late. Again, 17 consecutive outings without giving up an earned run. B, what he's done this season. His overall numbers are really good after this stretch and after today. Adrian now has he has a 2.04 ERA in 38 appearances, and he's been used a lot. And I'll add a third point to it. What Adrian has become. I think when you put in context, Adrian's career up until last year, bouncing between being a starter and a reliever, some of the injuries, some of the inconsistencies at the major league level, it hadn't always gone great for Adrian. He has really, and I credit him, he's really turned himself into a reliable, high-octane left-handed reliever who has closer-type stuff. I mean, he has been such an important part of this bullpen. I just give Adrian Morejon, I knew him all the way back in 2019 with the Amarillo Sod Poodles when he was starting games, okay? He was the first ever pitcher to throw a pitch in Amarillo Sod Poodle history in Corpus Christi, Texas. I was there. I've known Adrian for a long time. The pitcher, the reliever he's turned himself into, I think, is really, really impressive when you consider the early part of his major league career and the injuries he dealt with and the inconsistencies. I'm very, very happy for Adrian, what he's done. He's really, really, really turned himself into quite the reliever, and he did a great job in this series, no doubt about that. Padres win it 1-0. Padres only scored 1 run in this game, so the way they got it, hey, it's got to be the play of the game, right? Let's hear it.
The line between winning and losing can be razor thin. Which play was the difference between victory and defeat? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
1-1, and Arise hits it on the ground the other way into left field and a base hit. Wade comes in to score. Diaz is going to try. Young's throw to the plate, and he is meat. Not particularly close, as Diaz just slid in feet first to Adams' tag. RBI single. Luis Arraez, though, will give the Padres a 1-0 lead.
Luis Arraez with that RBI base hit, the RBI single, only scored 1 run. Diaz thrown out at the plate, but you know what? The 1 run was plenty here today as the Padres win it 1-0. 1 of 3 hits on the day for Luis Arraez. Padres only had 6 hits total in this game. Arraez had 3 of them, and he did it out of the leadoff spot for the first time this season. So good day for Luis, and that is today's play of the game. Luis Arraez now has a 12-game hitting streak. He's batting well over 300 in that span. So Luis has been very good as of late and did a good job in the leadoff spot today. Again, that was a headline entering this game. Arraez, Machado, Merrill, Tatis, the top 4 in the lineup in that order. First time we haven't seen Fernando when he's been healthy in the top spot in the lineup. And hey, Luis did a nice job here today, so I would think we see that same lineup probably, or at least the top 4 in the lineup probably on Friday in Cincinnati. Again, Xander Bogaerts held out of today's lineup. He was a late scratch due to left shoulder soreness, so hopefully a day off does Xander some good, and he's back in there for the Padres series opener against the Cincinnati Reds on Friday. Let's talk a little bit more about what's coming up. Padres will begin a 6-game road trip to Cincinnati and Philadelphia beginning on Friday. 3 games in Cincinnati, 3 games in Philadelphia. Then they have an off day on July 3rd, 3 games against the Rangers, 4 games against the Diamondbacks, 3 games against the Phillies. That's a 10-game homestand beginning on July 4th. That is a really still, we talked about the 26 games in 27 days. That is still a really tough stretch. Look, the Padres have a tough schedule until the All-Star break here. They really, really do. And that's going to take them till the break. The 1 more road trip coming up, and then the 1 more 10-game homestand. Again, the opponents, Cincinnati's playing well. Philadelphia is really good. Texas is good. Haven't played super well this year. Arizona, as we know, dangerous. And then 3 against the Phillies. I mean, this is still going to be a tough schedule. However, Padres will get a little bit more rest. They have an off day tomorrow, an off day on Thursday, and then or a week from tomorrow, and then a 10-game homestand to wrap up the pre-All-Star break portion of the schedule. But taking a look ahead to Friday's game in Cincinnati, game 1 of a 3-game series. First pitch on Friday at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati at 4:10 p.m. Pacific time on Friday. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3:10. Right-hander and former Padre Nick Martinez on the mound for the Reds. And it should be the projected starter by the rotation would be right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. Again, Cease on the mound for the Padres, likely, and then Martinez on the mound for the Reds. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and catch any portion of our post-game coverage there as well. Taking a look at the final totals here today for the Padres. 1 run, 6 hits, no errors. They left on nobody. The Padres didn't leave on wait, hold on here a second. Am I right about that? Let me double check here. No, I'm sorry. What am I saying here? I wrote that down wrong. I forgot a little O in the number. Let me start over here. Wrote it down wrong. It was like left on nobody. What? Okay, let's try again. Final totals here today for the Padres. 1 run, 6 hits, no errors, and they left on 8. For the Nationals, no runs, 3 hits, 1 error, and they left on 2. Winning pitcher today for the Padres, Nick Pivetta, who improves to 8-2. Losing pitcher was Mackenzie Gore, who drops to 3-8. And the save goes to Adrian Morejon, his 2nd of the season. Time of game, 2 hours and 15 minutes in the crowd here at Petco Park on this Wednesday afternoon, the 35th sellout of 2025 in this building. Another great showing from Padres fans. 40,532 the attendance on this Wednesday. Once again, first pitch on Friday at 4:10 p.m. Pacific time in Cincinnati. Pre-game coverage begins at 3:10. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Jeff Hamby, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from Petco Park. Again, the final score here today, the San Diego Padres 1 and the Washington Nationals 0. We've got Chris Ello, Matt Scraby coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. We'll talk to you on Friday on the Padres Radio Network.
Thanks for joining us for the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. For the best coverage of the San Diego Padres, stay tuned to San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Thinking about home improvements? Genesis Home Improvements is San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company.